Welcome to the Global Business Insights podcast, brought to you by PSL. I'm your host, Max Kent, and I'll be joined by my co-host, Dr. Charlotte de Brabandt. In Series 2, Beyond Business, we delve into the captivating journeys of the world's most exceptional business leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals. Our mission is not only to ignite inspiration and knowledge for the next generation, but also to illuminate the path for those currently navigating challenges. Join us as we uncover the remarkable stories that transcend traditional business narratives and offer a beacon of hope and guidance. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Global Business Insights podcast. We've got a very special episode for you today. It's just myself and my partner in crime, Charlotte, on the call today. And because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we wanted to do a very special episode to continue on really from the podcast that we launched back a few months ago that detailed Charlotte's ongoing battle with the disease. And because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we really wanted to do an update on that and ask some further questions and really provide some more support, awareness, and that beacon of hope for all the listeners out there and anyone that's struggling with this. So hi Charlotte, great to have you along.
Hi Max, thank you so much. I'm really excited for this.
You're welcome, and once again, brilliant to have you involved and willing to really participate and share your journey on this. I know it's very difficult for a lot of people, so it's a massive inspiration to have you doing this. And I was really humbled last time we did this, so very much looking forward to it.
Thank you. And you know, Max, actually after our last podcast, I received hundreds of messages.
Oh wow!
Individual. Not only survivors, but fighters. And I'm really intrigued why there is still so little thought leadership out there about it. So I'm really glad we're doing this. And I think the goal is to really reach out to everyone involved, if it's just some friend or family member or a fighter themselves going through this battle, because as we know, everyone shouldn't be alone, and you should always partner and have a community to reach out to. So that being said, I think it's just so important to really raise this awareness, and that's why it's so meaningful for me to be on this podcast with you.
It's amazing, and it's just, it's real inspiration for me, and I hope for everyone else listening to this to hear that. So thank you very much for your contribution to this and for doing it. So because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, why could you explain a bit more what that actually is and why it's so important?
So Breast Cancer Awareness Month is so important just because it's observed in October to very much raise awareness globally about breast cancer. And it's important to, I think, really promote this early detection and support individuals affected by this disease. And, it is a disease, as you said in the previous episode, first 1 in 7 women get diagnosed. Then that was like 2 years ago. And now it's 1 in 3 women. And wherever I go, if it's in a restaurant, if it's at the train station, wherever, people always approach me and they do tell me they went through it. They are a survivor. So it's so many people out there that just no one talks about. So it's just important to educate people about the risks and encourage regular screenings for early detection and encourage open communication, because there is no point to hide. Everyone is going through challenges. Many people are going through some sort of cancer or had cancer, and it's actually more than I expected, to be honest.
Yeah, it's amazing that once you're out there, obviously that you see that community firsthand and they reach out to you, and it's amazing to see that at least there's that support out there. But and like you say, there's no reason to suffer in silence.
Yeah.
I'm amazed by how that statistic has moved forward over the last few years. Could you share any sort of statistics about how prevalent breast cancer is globally and what impact that has?
Absolutely. So breast cancer is actually the most common cancer among women worldwide. And currently, there are just millions of cases diagnosed each year. And of course, the statistics now from 1 in 7 2 years ago, now 1 in 3. And think about me, I got it with the age of 35. So it can really affect any age group. And also when you just don't expect it, because in my case, no one ever in the family had it. And it was the most random diagnosis I could have gotten beginning of the year. So it affects not only women, but also men. And it has a significant impact on the families and communities and friends. And throughout my year, I just realized that some friends who I would have never expected, they were actually by my side, reaching out on a daily basis. And some other closer friends actually more distanced themselves even just because they were overwhelmed and they don't know how to manage or handle communication. So it impacts everybody around you.
Of course, yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? You sort of have to find out who your friends are, and says a lot about other people, doesn't it? I think, and less about you there. But um, what are the risk factors then for breast cancer, and how does genetics play a role in it, do you think?
Well, the whole risk factors for breast cancer, it definitely includes age, because usually the age group who I was with is usually 60, 65 and above. So I was one of the youngest in the rooms. Then of course gender, usually women get it, but 10% of the men as well. They say family history, usually if someone in the family history had it, where for my case, no one ever had it. But of course, if it's family history, then the chances are more likely. And genetics play a big role, because there are these different genetic mutations, which I learned all about this year,
Yeah,
like BRCA1, BRCA2, or RAD51, and these can very much significantly increase the risk of the whole development of breast cancer. But then also the lifestyle choices, because in my case, and with the environment, is it a lot of traveling? Is it stress? Is it what I ate? I don't smoke, I didn't drink. So it's quite interesting in that case, what it means. But I think the whole lifestyle choices, it's an area which is just being still discovered immensely
yeah,
at the moment.
for sure. So what are the sort of common signs or most common signs and symptoms that people should be aware of and look out for?
Yeah, common signs and symptoms include very much a lump in the breast, and changes in the breast size or shape, or even skin changes. And that's what I discovered. And I wasn't sure what was happening. I thought I was gaining weight, and I was actually making jokes over Christmas and New Year's. Oh my gosh, I have to go on a diet after this. But I didn't know that that was actually the beginning of this all. However, not all breast cancer cases present these sort of symptoms. Others are very much discovered through regular screenings.
Yeah,
So it's very much individualized.
sure. So is there anything individuals can do themselves, like some sort of self-examination, and is that some sort of role to play in early detection, do you think?
Yeah, so these breast self exams involve checking any abnormalities in the breast tissue, and making sure that you are well aware of your own body, listening to your body, understanding what is normal, what is not normal. And I used to be I am a career-driven woman. I used to travel on a daily basis. Alone last year, I spoke at 80 procurement conferences and traveled all the time with a full-time job. So I did neglect myself. I don't even remember the last time I went to the doctor. So, that whole self-awareness and knowing how should the body be, and if there are any abnormalities, I think many ignore it nowadays. When I speak to many individuals, not many actually do these self exams, and that's just a very useful tool for early detection. But also, healthcare professionals and the doctors can also teach how to do these exams correctly, because I also didn't know how to perform them. I was just like, you shower, okay, your body looks quite normal, okay, you continue and you start your day, get dressed, and then you forget all about anything that you may have changed in the body.
Yeah, of course. We've all been there. I mean, it's that when you're busy in a career, you're just put to the floor, getting to meetings, just on with
Yeah.
the day. You're working so hard, and a lot of the other things like unfortunately going to the doctor and other things just take a bit of a back seat. It's not your priority, and when you're younger, you think you're just going to get through all of that. So I think that's a real sort of stark message to, if you're never sure, just get stuff checked and get yourself looked at. And if there's self-examinations you can do, then you need to do them. It's important. And I think so. I think that's a real message to everyone. So obviously, when we talk about screening itself, are there different screening methods then? And when do women start doing that? Should they start doing that at earlier ages?
Yeah, I mean, it's also a new word which I learned, mammography, and I
Right.
had my first mammography this year with the age of 35. So these are kind of usually recommended at a later age, and actually insurance, as a matter of fact, they only cover in the US after the age of 40, and in Europe after the age of 50. So of course, when you are young, you're less inclined to do mammography, or also clinical breast exams or MRI. Like, these are the common, but it's just mind-blowing why the insurances still don't, in a way, cover mammograms at an earlier age, just because more and more women are being affected at an earlier age. And if they would, I think, do that, more women would then find out earlier about their kind of breast cancer.
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's interesting you mentioned insurance because that's obviously a US thing, and we're over in the UK. We're both in different countries recording this. It's different rules. We've
yeah,
got the NHS here that pays for mammograms, and that's a regular screening campaign for women. However, breast
yeah.
cancer is still high in the UK, and I wonder how much that does help, and what stats there are on how much that helps detect early. But it's it's the same thing. You still got to get it done, haven't you?
That's why, it's such an irony. Okay, they're promoting mammograms, but then again, when you detect it, it's already too late, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you
yeah,
you have it, and
yeah,
then okay, then you just need to start treatment earlier, and
yeah,
maybe go through less of a rigorous treatment, what I'm going through right now, just
yeah,
because, of course, I didn't get that whole check early, and I started immediately with stage 3 inflammatory breast cancer. So
yeah. So, I mean, I'm not too clear on the stages myself. Could you explain the stages of breast cancer then, and how does staging impact those treatment options?
you have breast cancer. It stages from 0 to 4.
Right.
And indicating the extent of the disease. And usually, with this whole staging, there are different treatment guides and treatment decisions being made. With
Yeah,
early staging, often it just depends. At earlier staging, there are just a variety of different treatment options and better prognosis. And the higher you get in the staging, it just becomes a little bit more tricky.
right.
Up to stage 3, that's, I would say, where you have these treatment options. It's there is a very much, to some sort of extent, a clear path which have already been researched and developed. And stage 4 is still being developed. There are, of course, many extensive options, but stage 4 is when the cancer has metastasized, and that's when you're really targeting a very hard chemotherapy.
Yeah,
But that being said, even any stage from 0 to 3 is very hard. In stage 3, it's the Keynote 522 chemotherapy, which definitely entails 4 different chemotherapy chemicals, and it all chemotherapy is just immensely hard, immense side effects, and of course, every individual out there um, has has it in a way, gets different side effects.
Sure. Okay, and what sort of advancements have been made in the treatment of breast cancer in the recent years?
Well, advances include targeted therapies, immune therapy, the whole Keytruda, and improved surgical techniques. And most recently, the most recent current, I would say there are two other researches out there which are just being finalized. It's that whole ctDNA testing, so to see whether there are any also cancer cells spreading in the blood. That's where there are tests like Signatera which are currently being tested. But also research right now, and I'm based in Boston, so I get all of the medical papers which I read on a daily basis, is also this whole personalized cancer vaccine that they're working on. And not for breast cancer, but for other cancers. And I think this will be definitely the future, how to also prevent cancer going forward, just because it's such a disease of our year 100. It's of our decade, and it's just we need to get it under control. So these developments have led to a lot more personalized and effective treatment plans.
And I think just coming back to what you said earlier about how when you first started to tell people about the diagnosis, you found that some people became closer to you and others distanced themselves. I think there's a lot around that stigma and how people can interact and engage with someone who's got a diagnosis, and how it makes them feel. So, I mean, how do you think individuals can support those affected by breast cancer, and what those some of those common misconceptions or stigmas that need to be addressed?
Yes, so support can be emotional support, practical support, or educational support. And I've had all three, where a lot of emotional support is just so crucial, because we are all human, and feeling that authenticity from people. But then practical support, now I'm going through a lot of physical therapy after my proton radiation, and how I can how I can also, I would say, have some techniques, some routines, how to structure my day. And then educational support. So a lot of friends also send me educational medical papers. And by now I read these medical studies up and down for my good night reading. And at the beginning, it took me some time because it's a different language. And now I'm just, I completely get it. And I educate myself a lot for every single chemotherapy. So everyone does it differently. Every patient, some patients don't want to know what's going on. They just do it. They bite their teeth together and they just get through it. But for me, I'm just so curious to understand. And just because I've self-educated myself so much, that I now take a part on any decision that's being made with me, with any of my treatment. And now I do like to be involved educationally. So it's crucial to dispel any of these myths and stigma around breast cancer, as these can create just barriers to seeking help and support. You need to this, of course, it's all different. It's kind of how much you want to give, how much you want to play a part of, or be a role in that person's community. But there are ways how you can reach out. And if you're not the most, I would say, emotional person, as I said, there are practical and educational ways that you can also support.
Okay, so are there any specific initiatives or organisations that people can get involved with then to support breast cancer awareness?
Oh, absolutely. There are so many numerous organizations on Instagram. There's like Breast Cancer Now, and there are so many different Instagram organizations, but then also the whole American Cancer Society. I look at them quite a lot in terms of education. Also through my parents, because they are both in the medical field since the age of 16. I've actually accompanied them to ASCO, the greatest oncology conference of the year, and I've been going there since the age of 16. So indirectly, I kind of self-educated myself all along.
Yeah.
And they provide great resources and opportunities for thought leadership and fundraising. Of course, there are support groups out there. They're less for youngsters under 50, I would say. I've joined one of them, but for me personally, I have a lot of energy, a lot of optimism.
Mhm.
I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and for me personally, I reach out to my own network because I get energy from that rather than giving all my energy at these individual support groups. So it's kind of a personal decision what makes you feel good. And I've decided now to kind of just reach out to my own community, make sure I keep my full-time job, I have my structure to the day, and I do what's fun for me. These podcasts, writing articles. I'm writing a new book now on inspiring talents, and kind of to remind myself of my previous life, of that life
Yeah.
I used to have, and that's what makes me happy and what keeps me going. So I've personally made a decision to be less involved with these support groups, but others, of course, need that because they may not be able to perform their full-time job just because they
Yeah.
have a different sort of job. I'm very, very fortunate. I get to work on my laptop, whereas others, they have to actually physically go to work. So I completely understand that it's a very much of a personal choice how much they can do while being on chemotherapy.
Yeah. Of course. And have you got any success stories of the survivors and any of their experience with early detection or treatment that you could share at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sharing survivor stories just can be inspiring and demonstrates the importance of early detection and timely treatment. So everyone has a very unique story, how they found it, through what circumstances, and then and also at which age groups. And one of the most inspiring for me personally was just this granny sitting there with the age of 88, and she was getting this whole chemotherapy treatment, and then radiation, and then more chemotherapy. And then I look at myself, and 35, now I'm 36, and I'm just thinking, come on, Charlotte, you have others are others at a different age are true fighters. Why am I even complaining? I'm getting on with my life. I keep going. And of course, there are always pros and cons, which age you get breast cancer at. Um, I would say she says she was fine because she has also lived a very fulfilling life. And for
Mhm.
me, I still want to discover all these other experiences and opportunities out there.
Of course.
Whereas I, have, yeah, I have also this sort of energy that I can bring to the table. Whereas she was just a little weaker, so she's kind of survived through a lot of meditation, and meditating helped her to maintain her mental due diligence and kind
Mm.
of mental endurance and strength. And for me, it's kind of my work and my passion to my work that helps me stay strong mentally.
Yeah.
So, but then, so this kind of survivor kind of very much inspired me that it's not really about the age, it's about everyone has a unique personal story, and you need to find your own way. You cannot compare yourself to anyone out there. You need to find your own path to success.
Okay. So what advice would you give to individuals who want to get involved in supporting Breast Cancer Awareness Month?
Well, there are social media campaigns
Yeah.
sharing all these personal stories of many women going through it. It's either I just read a story this morning, a lady who has who got a baby and who just got diagnosed. So going
Wow.
through this whole chemotherapy while having just a baby a few weeks old. So there are just these personal stories out there, especially this month, and of course by using these relevant hashtags, you could then read more of these personal stories, or also create a very powerful online presence to reach out and educate the audience. And that's what I've been doing on my Instagram channel. Um, through Join the Fight, where
Yeah.
where I very much wanted to raise awareness, educate others that it's okay to speak up and speak about your challenges. And believe it or not, I had also individuals come to me via LinkedIn, Instagram, and they were just very shocked that I even talked about it, that I even went public with this diagnosis, because they said, how could you? It's a personal story. How can you share such personal medical information? But why not? There's so many out there and they're just lost in translation. So especially now we need to educate each other. And if we don't speak up, we will just not be able to seek this help or get some tips how others went through it, or words of encouragement, just to keep going, keep fighting. So I think it's just so useful to have these social media platforms for your own gratification, like to your own motivation to keep going, but also getting advice, sharing information.
Well, again, that your attitude to this is absolutely inspiring, and I really hope that does help and support others that aren't as perhaps willing to share and gets that story out there. And you're absolutely right. There's no reason to hide. What sort of developments in the research and breakthroughs do you think on the horizon with this?
Well, current research focuses on immune therapy and also this whole precision medicine, better understanding all these genetic factors involving breast cancer. And in the future, there will be a lot of this personalized vaccine, breast cancer vaccine coming out, which will be, I think, very revolutionary. And this will change the whole research and breakthrough with breast cancer, because in my opinion, it's good to know when you have it in order to treat it, but I think foremost it's important to even prevent it from happening. So I think there are a lot of promising breakthroughs that are continually emerging, especially in this field.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great to hear. So over the last few years, we've had the COVID-19 pandemic, still the sort of fallout from that 3 years ago, how that impacted so many things. How do you think that's impacted breast cancer awareness and care? And is there anything to be done that can mitigate those effects, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic very much disrupted the whole screenings and delayed diagnosis. So it's essential to encourage people to catch up on all these missed appointments and ensure that they receive timely care. And even proactively, if you have nothing and if you feel fine, make sure to catch up with that missed appointment, because the pandemic kind of taught us, oh, let's just stay isolated, let's wear a mask, let's just not go to the doctor. But now is the time to just make sure you are very much caught up with all your medical appointments.
Yeah, absolutely. So are there any key takeaways you'd like our audience to remember about Breast Cancer Awareness Month and take away from this podcast?
Definitely, early detection is key, and awareness and education just saves life. So it's important to support all those which are affected by breast cancer in anyone's surroundings, or even if you hear if you hear of someone's case. And for me, the most amazing, most absolutely touching part was when people that I have not spoken to for more than 10 years or 20 years, they were reaching out to me that I'm not alone. I have their support. My very first manager, who has touched my life tremendously from the very first day I started working. And then he was like a guardian angel for me. He reached out to me a week ago. And these are these guardian angels, these individuals that help us as fighters to keep going. So if you know of anybody, and even if you think, oh, they may not remember me, they will remember you, and make sure you reach out, even with a short message. I think this is the biggest takeaway. Everyone can play a role, and it's just so important to make sure that we stick together as humans in these times. And these times, work and career and all this other activities, it's secondary. Then it's very much the human touch that comes out. And please make sure you reach out, even if you think they may not remember you, because they truly will. So for all the fighters out there, heads up, chin up, eyes forward, keep going. And that's all that matters. Each time you feel down, Friday is my next chemotherapy. Take a deep breath, bite your teeth together, and keep your head up and chin up and forward, and be the best version of yourself every single day. And that's very much the advice I can give anybody.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Charlotte. Just final question. Is there any other places? I mean, you mentioned Join the Fight, which is your own campaign. Also, any other information resources for awareness and support that you can offer, just as a parting piece of information for the listeners if they want to learn more?
Definitely. So for all the listeners, feel free, firstly, to reach out to me either via LinkedIn, my Instagram, Facebook, on all different platforms, or via my website. Otherwise, there are organizations like the American Cancer Association. We have the National Breast Cancer Foundation, Breast Cancer Now on Instagram, and other very great healthcare institutions out there, also via individual hospitals. So it's important to just verify information from trusted sources, just because there's so much out there, and usually it's more worrying rather than what's actually the truth. So making sure that you read trusted information. That's why I started reading a lot of medical papers, just to make sure I understand and fully educate myself, and that I'll be able to have a solid conversation, with all the experts out there.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks again, Charlotte. And once again, a hugely inspiring episode. And I hope as many people as possible get to hear this, and that can help them as well and support them. And your words provide that comfort and that light at the end of the tunnel for people that they need to hear. So thank you once again. We'll see you all on the next episode, and see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Take care.
And you. See you on the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on this enlightening episode of the Global Business Insights podcast. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories and valuable insights that will continue to guide and uplift you on your journey.